Yes people, what's good and welcome back to the channel. So today guys, I've just added 2 Nero free pumps on my system. Now as you guys know, I have the Ecotech MP10s on the back wall, and they gave me that, you know, that minimalistic kind of look where you can just focus on the aquascape. Now over the last week I've done some fragging, I've taken some stuff off from the front, and I realized that the center of my aquascape was not getting enough flow. Simple, I wanted more flow in my system. So I added the random flow generators about a month and a bit ago, and it did improve. Don't get me wrong, random flow generators, I love these things guys. Yeah, they're random, yeah? Okay, so now that I've added the Nero free pumps on there, the flow has really gotten to where I want it to be. Now because of the aquascape and other corals growing, certain parts of my aquaporos were getting shaded and losing color. So I didn't realize this until I started fragging. That's why it's so important to just, you know, keep fragging. And I'm not perfect, I'm just showing you guys, like, you know, sometimes you do get it wrong and you miss certain things. So what I've done is, the parts that were healthy, I've basically cut off or fragged off and put in a lower part of the tank, on a lower part of the aquascape, to give it some time to start healing and growing. Now guys, there was a massive bubblegum digi at the front, and this thing was taking over the aquapora on the left, which is about here. So what I've done was I've took some of the Indonesian coral I had in the back that was, you know, not getting enough flow. I placed in the front here so that can actually start extending, and the color is actually looking quite good in this one. It's quite different. I don't know what species exactly it is, but what I'll be doing, I'll be just referring to books, just check it out online, asking around to see what species it is. Now a couple of years ago, when I first started this aquascape, I had a purple stylophora. Now I took a piece of the rock out and literally scraped this thing off. You know, it was the only coral on there. It was like a massive piece of coral. So I scraped it off, but what I realized a couple of months ago, it was actually growing back. What I'll do is I'll just ensure that when it starts growing, that it has enough space to, you know, extend, the other corals aren't affected, and just prune everything back. Yeah, another bit of fragging I did was on this coral here. As you can see, there's some nubs and bits of glue on there as well. Yeah. And what I did was I just pruned it back a little bit and put some frags aside. Also, what I'm trying, don't laugh at this, yeah? What I'm trying as well, I'm trying to see if I can get one of my corals to actually start encrusting on the back of the tank itself. So I've put loads of glue, yeah, and placed it there with the intention to see it, you know, start developing and getting a bit bigger. Now, one pet peeve of mine, or one thing I hate about removing corals or adding new corals to my system, is the fact that there is a white bit of glue on the base, or you can see the frag plug. Now this is where the patience side of this hobby comes in. Now when you put, say for example, acropora into your system and you glue them on, you can see some putty or base, whatever you use to bond it to the rock. Now you can actually use this as an indicator to see how well the coral is doing. So if you can see the coral is actually growing over the glue or over that frag plug and encrusting onto your aquascape itself, coral's growing and the coral's doing really well. So top tip, yeah. Now the best way you can describe cross flow is, think about the ocean. We are literally trying to mimic or imitate something that occurs naturally in nature. Now with waves crashing on the reef, you have a random flow where you get, you know, things being pulled to the left, pulled to the right. Now in a reef system, we need to start emulating this, and a good way to do this is have zones where the flow patterns or the flow from different pumps merge together, creating chaos. But it's controlled chaos. We don't want to have too much flow where our sand starts blowing or we start ripping the flesh of corals. So with my MP10s giving me the back to front flow, and the new AI Nero Freeze, or the Nero Freeze, because it's not that new, they've been out for a couple of months, giving the left to right flow, we have areas where that flow or the water can crash within the system, creating that random flow. Another amazing thing about this little pump is it pushes out around 2,000 gallons per hour, which is amazing. This little thing's about 2.5 inches in diameter. And what AI have done as well, they've actually, I know there's some reviews online, but this is what I found amazing. They've actually incorporated the motor and the blades as one, so it comes out as like one module when you take this apart to clean, and this is why you get so much water being pushed out. Now, having 2 of these and having a random flow selected for both of them, once they meet up, once they start pushing that water to the center of the aquascape, we have that random flow being generated, and that's exactly what I have been looking for when it comes to my system. Now, one thing I would say that did bug me was the cables. Now, if you have a TMC Reef Habitat 60, I'll show you what I have done, yeah, to kind of manage my cables. So this is my solution for managing my cables. Now, I'll explain to you guys why I did this. These cables on the Nero 3, they are really thin. Now, I didn't want the cable to run along the side of the tank, drop to the back, because my acrylic cover doesn't have, you know, slots that can allow the cables to go through, apart from where it meets the Ecotech mount, which is here. So there is like a gap where I have my temperature probe from my Neptune going through that gap, and the tank cover sits flush against the tank. Now, when you look at the tank itself, you can't see this, yeah? So this is what the tank would look like if someone was to walk into the room. Another thing that was, you know, a bit iffy for me was the size of the mesh when my friend showed me this pump. And I was like, what about the fish? Brap! There you go. So that goes at the back of the pump itself. Pump goes to the front, and this prevents, it's kind of like a fish guard. It prevents the fish from getting sucked in. Now, all my fish are free swimming, for example the clownfish and that. The only fish I'm really worried about is the lawnmower blenny, which tends to perch on corals. Now, there you go, there he is. Now, I haven't had any issues with this fish sitting on any power heads, so I should be good to go. Now, people, in my opinion, for TMC Reef Habitat 60, you don't really need to have MP10s or Nero 3s on there. It all depends how much money you want to spend. Now, I spent a whop when it comes to my equipment on my system, but you can rock little pumps like Jabaos. There's nothing wrong with Jabaos. I used to rock them back in the day, and they're good little pumps. So what I would say, if you're starting off with, like I said, TMC Reef Habitat 60 or a tank that's about the same dimension, you can start with having a pump either side of your tank. So you can have one on the left side, one on the right. Or you can actually offset the pump itself, so you can have one leading towards the front of the tank and one leading towards the rear, so you have that circular pattern of flow. Now, if you said that's not sufficient, you can try it on the back wall or add another pump. That's always a good way to go, just to get that flow. Now, if you do have corals in there as you add in new pumps, just ensure your corals are doing well and responding really well or well to the added pumps, because you can tell straight away if the flow is too much. You can have things like coral tissue being blown off. Literally, I've seen it happen to me once. Yeah, you live and you learn. Also, you can see your polyps aren't extending as much, and you can see your sandbed is actually being blown, yeah, to shreds. You have, like, you know, blank or empty spots on your sandbed. So just ensure whatever flow you are delivering and that the direction of flow is what your corals need, and you won't be doing any damage to your fish or corals or tank itself. So guys, thanks for watching. This is Narayan for Narayan's Reef. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and guys, please leave a comment, because I want to hear back from you guys. Take care.